You know how fast you were going?
What? How fast you were going?
I don't know. 10?
8.
Be advised, this is an explicit podcast, so if you're easily offended, get your panties twisted into a knot, turn this off before you get butthurt and mad, start to cry, have to run to your safe space. All opinions are those of the host and his guest, and do not reflect the opinions of any government agency.
Welcome back to MOTORCOP Chronicles podcast. I'm your host, the Iceman. This is part 2 with Edgar Allen PO PO. Hope y'all enjoyed that super serious episode. I think that's probably the most serious episode we've had so far, but I think it was good. We got some good information out and stuff like that. And on this second part, we're not going to be serious. We're going to get into some of his funny shit. And if he's as good as he is in person, y'all should get a pretty good laugh out of it. So welcome back to Edgar Allen PO PO. Hello? You there?
Do you have the tab started yet? Have you started the tab yet?
Yeah, no, I didn't. We're not doing it no more. I'm broke.
We're not doing it?
I'm broke. I'm broke. I'll pay
so
you.
So no big words on this one.
You don't have to use any fucking big words on this one. I will pay you in
you
peanuts.
dropped an F-bomb already.
Yes, I can drop F-bombs. I pay for this fucking podcast. So
my virgin ears.
We are. I am.
I'm
put
afraid
that as explicit.
I felt that one in my spine. It actually traveled right between my shoulder blades, and
we all right.
I'm easily offended, and my panties are in a twist.
In the wrong spot, then. Because
can we only use scientific terms instead of profanity?
No, I want to make people laugh. You recognize this laugh right here?
I want this to be family friendly.
You don't recognize that?
No, I don't.
Yeah, that's Vice President Camel Toe. So the Vice President.
God.
Because that's every time I see her, that's all I hear is. So, well, we're gonna get
painful.
into.
Don't use that. Don't use that again, please. Please.
That's her.
Fingernails on a chalkboard right there.
So you ready to start telling you some funny stories?
No.
Yes. Look, I'm going to give you some theme music you can start with. Here you go.
Derp 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 derp.
There you went. We're ready for it. We're derped up.
What are you? Boy, you're just dropping it cold on me, aren't you? Once upon a time, there was this one time at band camp.
What happened was.
See, what had happened was, we deal with a lot of situations where, if it wasn't so serious, it'd be hilarious, and then it becomes hilarious later. And I guess, in 26 years altogether, I guess I've dealt with a lot of situations. My brother was so much better than I was. He was a career cop, did 28 years at a fairly large municipality. And he was the guy for stories much more than I am.
Oh, you're such a fucking liar.
He was hilarious. He told me one, it's probably the most classic that I've ever heard in my life, about the cop that pulls this guy over and he walks up to he approaches the vehicle and he asks the guy for the driver's license, and the guy's like, man, look, I'm telling you, I was driving kind of crazy. I realized that, but I had a bee in my car and I was trying to swat it before it stung me. And he says, look right here on the dashboard. There's the bee. I killed it. It's on the dashboard. And Cop looks at the guy and he says, okay, I see that. How about that driver's license? So the guy gives him the driver's license. Cop retreats back to his unit. He comes back up with a pair of gloves, latex gloves, and an evidence envelope. And he takes his pen and he sweeps the bee off the dashboard with his pen into the evidence bag. And he tells the guy, he says, I'm gonna evidence your bee here. And I'm going to go ahead and issue a citation for reckless operation. And the guy says, wait a minute. Are you kidding? You're actually going to write me a ticket after you've seen the bee? He says, yeah, I saw the bee and I collected the bee as evidence. And I'm going to actually bring that to court, just in case it's needed. And the guy's incredulous. He's like, I just don't get it, man. I mean, you saw that I have a reasonable excuse for driving the way I was driving. He says, yeah. He said, I guess you're going to need a new bee. The guy just looks at him. He says, what do you mean? He said, well, this one didn't work for you because it's been on the dashboard long enough to collect dust. So
yeah, I'm going to need
so I evidenced it for you, and I'm going to bring it to court, and the judge can see the dust on your bee.
I'm going to have the ME look at it, and we're going to get a date of death on this bee.
We're gonna shove a thermometer in the core of the bee to see if we can determine time of death.
I love it. I get it all the time. That one place I work there. Get somebody doing 85 and a 60 or something. I was driving so fast I had to pee. It's like you just passed like 3 truck stops, like less than a mile and a half, 2 miles back. Oh, I had to pee then. I said, oh, so all of a sudden, as soon as you saw the sign that said, next service like 18 miles or 12 miles, now all of a sudden you have to pee. Hold it, because it's going to be a while till you get to the exit.
I actually got in behind a car. It was just driving. This girl was just driving crazy. She was driving real fast, real erratically, blowing stop sign. And I got in behind her and I lit her up and I pulled her over and she says, "Look, my mom's sick. I'm trying to get to her because she's real sick. She's real sick, and I gotta go bring her to the hospital." I said, "Oh, okay. Well, come on." And she looked at me and she says, "Huh?" I said, Go ahead. Tell me where you got to go. Let's go." And she's like, "Well, she lives," and she told me the street she lived on. I said, "Okay, all right, let's go. Let's get there. Come on, we got to help her." And she drove like around the block twice. And she finally stopped again, and I didn't even light her up. She just stopped in the middle of the roadway. And I got out, and I ran up to the car. I said, "Well, aren't we going to see about your mom?" And she's like, "Just give me the fucking ticket, please." I looked at her. I said, "Excuse me?" She said, "My mom's not sick. I was lying. Just give me the fucking ticket, will you?" I said, "Okay." I went back and I wrote her up.
It's like, I'm just going to follow you around. You'll eventually get the point.
Well, I was just trying to help, I just wanted to. I mean, her mom was really, really sick, and I know first aid, and it seemed like it was an emergency. We've all had that. I mean, I've had a lady that told me she was trying to get to another town because she had received a call that her child was very sick at school, and I was like, "Oh, goodness gracious." So I said, "Well, just sit tight for a second and let me see what I can do." And I went back to the car and I called the school. And the secretary was like, "Who is this?" And I told her. And she said, "Okay." I said, "Well, you have to understand something, that This lady is very, very upset that her child is very, very ill at school. And we're just we're doing a welfare check. We're going to make sure that this child is okay and doesn't need, emergency help of some kind. And she called on the intercom to the child's classroom and said to the teacher, Miss whoever, is so-and-so in your classroom? Yes. And I could hear them on the intercom over the phone. She says, will you check on that child? Is that child okay? And the teacher's like, yeah, she's fine. I walked back up to the car and I said, ma'am, you'll be glad to know that I have checked on your child and that your child is very happily playing at recess and not gravely ill. And I know you're relieved. So sign here, press hard, 3 copies.
Because she was.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
That's what she was.
But don't you think that the conscientious officer would absolutely attempt to help these people given their dire circumstances?
Yeah, you just calling her out on her bullshit, be honest.
Absolutely not.
Kind of like when,
See,
I got somebody on side.
See how you perpetuate the stereotype here. I'm
like
doing nothing but trying to save the world, serve the public.
When I got
protect
that
and
asshole,
swerve.
Yeah, you were swerving. That's when I get the assholes on the side of the road. I'm not rude. I'm just when I usually say, drive, be careful pulling out and drive safe. When I get that occasional asshole, he gets or her. When I hand them their copy of the citation, they get "Have a nice day."
Yeah, I don't do that. That's inflammatory.
That's me saying.
That's inflammatory. I don't do that. You're asking. You just ruined their day.
Exactly.
And then you're telling them to have a nice day
because they were being an asshole.
Okay, but I don't have to be that too. I can tell them I think a lot of them.
I did. I was telling them.
That's usually what I actually say. I usually say, "Please drive safely. I think a lot of you." That's usually what I say. It's very ambiguous. I mean, I either think a lot of them or I think a lot of them.
Well, when my old department one time, they tried to tell me, I probably told a story in another episode, but they always told me before I got called and said, "Look, you wasn't rude, but so I got that raft face, that resting asshole face, stuff. Just try to be nicer, conversate with them. Don't be so robotic."
You're resting your RAF face.
RAF, RAF.
RAF,
yeah.
Your RAF face.
Resting asshole face.
It makes me moist.
Yeah, well, I do that sometimes. But anyway, I was trying this one time. I was trying the whole being Mr. Nice Cop and conversate a little bit to make the people feel more at ease.
Converse a little bit?
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And,
$5.
And I looked at a lady and I said, "Oh, so what do you do?" She's like, "Excuse me?" I said, "What do you do? You baby." And she looked at me and she says, "I'm not pregnant." Okay, all right, drive safe. It's like, yeah. It was like, that didn't work out too well for me.
Have you ever worked a wreck involving a fun party host?
No.
Do you know what a fun party is?
Yes, that's the dildo sellers. They sell dildos and moist cream.
I never knew what a fun party was until I worked a rollover crash of an SUV up a levee. And the lady was coming back from hosting a fun party. And one thing about a rollover crash with an SUV, the contents of the vehicle tend to spill slightly. And imagine pulling up on that scene, and there are various...
You can say it. There's just dicks everywhere.
There's scattered penises. There are penises and butterflies and balls and Benoits and various flavored lubricants and it's scattered all over the roadway and up the embankment, and you're just going, Okay, I'm not picking this shit up.
No, that's when you call the record and they had to clean the scene.
She was a very nice lady, and I felt terrible, but I just was scared to death that somebody was going to actually take a picture of me walking with two very large penises in uniform.
That would
Back to
that would have been an epic picture. I got that whole picture in my head.
Now,
you
there
walking
was-
with two big.
there
dicks
was
in
the lady that we pulled over in the black BMW years ago, who unfortunately was wanted for forgery. Terrible thing, because she was listed on this computer database as being a fugitive, and she had to be detained and arrested. And it was a shame. So we had to call a wrecker for her BMW, and as I was doing the inventory on the car, which we have to do an inventory to make sure that their property in the vehicle is protected and documented so nothing comes up missing from any of the handling of the vehicle, I looked in the trunk of said vehicle, and there was a kind of an athletic duffel bag. And as I unzipped said athletic duffel bag, there were various sexual pleasure accoutrements in said duffel bag. As a matter of fact, the bag was full of them. That's $20 for that sexual.
I would just call it a bag of dicks.
Accoutrements.
She had a sack of dicks in her trunk.
There's a big bag of there's a big bag of dicks, big bag of penises. Anyway, one of these things, I'm telling you, was rather large. Okay, I can tell you that if she used this, I would do her no good at all. But we're not going to talk about that. The wrecker driver pulls up at this point as I'm doing this inventory, and unfortunately, I'm rather detail oriented, so I couldn't just write on the paper assorted penises.
Bag of dicks. That's what I wrote down.
I couldn't.
The bag of dicks.
I couldn't do that because you never know. One of those actually might have had the family jewels or something. So I'm trying to list. Okay, pink, PVC plastic, shaped like penis. Green
penis.
Rubberized with bunny rabbit ears penis. And as I'm doing this, the wrecker driver walks up. I kid you not. This guy, this guy is Clem Cadiddle-Hopper. Okay, he is like the consummate record driver. He is the record driver that all record drivers go, oh, that's a redneck. Okay. Okay, we're not talking bad about record drivers. There may be record drivers listening. Please don't be offended.
He was like Cooter of Duke's
He was the man who Cooter wishes to emulate.
Oh, geez.
He gets out of the wrecker. He has a toothpick in one corner of his mouth and a match in the other. Okay. He walks up to me and he looks over into the trunk and he goes, "Damn, where's she at?" I was like, excuse me? He said, "Please tell me this is the old girl driving this car." I was like, yeah, it's a lady that was in. Damn. You reckon she's a hooker? I was like, I don't know, Cooter. Just let me finish this inventory. And before I could even tell him, don't do that, he reaches in. Now, he's got his old work gloves on, right? And he's got these greasy, old, nasty, filthy, grimy Walmart 20-year-old work gloves. He reaches down and he grabs this very, very, very large rubber penis. And he pulls it out of the bag and he goes, "I'm scared of her." if she can take this thing
And it's
and
flopping
he
her.
shakes it. Now understand that we have dash cameras, and on top of having dash cameras, which mine was actually right behind the car where the trunk is, where the very large rubberized pink penis was. And I'm talking, we're talking, he couldn't get his hand around this thing, okay, even with the gloves on.
Big horse cock.
And the lady is sitting in the backseat of my car watching this guy molest my penis. And I'm sitting here, and of course I'm face palming. I'm like, oh my God, please tell me he did not just.
At least he had gloves on.
I
He
told
could have
him,
done
I
it
said-
barehanded.
I said, put that down. And he looks at me and he says, well, oh, look, I got it. Oh, look, I got it greasy.
Put the
I'm
dick
like,
back in
just
the bag.
Put that back down, please. And he goes, let me see if I can wipe it off.
Oh,
And
no. Oh, no.
Put the penis down.
Stop cleaning the penis that fast,
Put it
please.
down. He's like, it's okay. I got some Gojo in my truck. I'm gonna go get some of that. I'm like, no, please do not Gojo the penis. Put the penis back in the trunk, please. And I walk back to the car, and she's at this point she has become rather irate.
That was her best penis.
And she's like, will you tell him to quit rubbing on my dildo? And of course, I'm in the middle of this, and I'm trying real hard to extricate myself. Extricate, $5. I'm trying to extricate myself from the situation. And long story short, the greasy penis was placed back in the bag. The trunk was closed. The inventory was completed very quickly. The last line said, and assorted sex toys, initials. And I managed to bring that lady to jail, and all the way to jail, she's like, I can't believe you let that dude play with. And I'm like, ma'am, please, can we change the subject?
It's like you actually used that one.
Well, I to be honest, at that point, I was so wigged out by the fact that my dash camera, it was going to the administration with a wrecker driver wagging a very large dildo right in front of my car. I was just wondering, when this gets uploaded, when they do video, reviews or whatever, and they do look at this, what in the world is going to be said about the wrecker driver and the very large dildo? I have no idea.
You needed to
My safe word is pineapple juice.
get the dick out your face.
That story made me moist.
God. I've been you ever been on something like searching a car or something and you got a rookie with you? And this is like way back in the day before, fentanyl and stuff. Back in them days you didn't wear rubber gloves to search shit. You just would search shit. And they'd always find it and they'd grab it and they'd be like, hey, look what I got. And it's like, dude, put that down. You're touching it. You don't know if that's been cleaned. Not in there holding some old nasty vibrator or something in their bare hands.
No, yeah, no. I actually had a friend that worked for a local agency that used to be like their official FTO. And we went to a residence for a disturbance call. It was two sisters and a brother that lived in this house. And the brother was, he was not all there. He was kind of a weird kind of guy. And it was just a weird kind of household. But we get there and they're taking the information for the report, and he's training a rookie, and the rookie sits down on the sofa, and this particular training officer reaches down and touches him on the arm and says, get up. And he goes, oh no, I'm okay, thank you. And he's taking the information, and He taps him again on the shoulder. He says, "Get up off of that sofa." "No, I'm okay, thanks." And he's still riding. And he looks over at me, and by this time I'm laughing because I know what's actually going on. I was, oh God. One of the previous calls we had there was that they were having a disturbance because the brother had actually put a hole in the sofa cushions and was humping it. And
he was using the sofa as a sex doll.
He was using the sofa as a cushion receptacle for his manhood. And here's this rookie just sits down on the sofa like he's at home, and the old FTO.
The brother didn't get up underneath it and put
the old FTO is he actually reaches over and he grabs the collar of this guy's uniform and he makes him get up, and he tells him, "You are not going to sit in our car until I spray you, and do not sit on furniture ever again as long as you're in my presence, unless it's your own or mine, okay?" And he thought that sofa was just so comfortable. He really did. I mean, it was nice. It was one of those.
Was it leather?
Flowery velvet kind of. No, it was cushiony. Kind of the yellow foam kind of padding.
Who would even? Who the fuck thinks I want to cut a hole in this couch and fuck it?
Well, I mean, you got movies about apple pie, so I mean,
yeah, but
any safe spot in a storm, buddy. I mean,
God,
come on.
Why do you got this hole in your couch? I don't know where that come from.
Yeah,
this crusty stuff dried up around it. Oh, I spilled some milk and it dried.
Yeah.
My God. Yeah, that's like you go to people's houses on, you're taking a whatever type of call and, oh, would you like something to drink? No, I'm good. As you're picking your feet up and down because the roaches aren't even scared of you and they're attacking you and you're scared you're going to feel a roach crawl up your inside of your leg and totally wig out and run out of the house screaming.
I've been there. I've been to that house before.
Yeah,
I've been to that house before.
It's like I'd rather lick a dog's asshole before I drink anything out of any container in this house.
And let me tell you something. I now, thank God for COVID and the awareness of hygiene. I now keep a bottle of Virex spray and a bottle of the spray sanitizer. Not only do I keep it handy in my car, but I actually have it hanging on the prisoner screen to where I can just reach over and grab it and just start spraying. And there are people that I deal with that I want to spray them down right there.
That's what spray you down with.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to spray me down, and then I'm going to spray you down. Okay, and you're going to thank me for it because I'm doing you a major service. I'm insulating you from the COVID.
Well, you see now, Governor, how he lifted the mask mandate.
Well, he did, but the problem
is none of these motherfuckers, I guess, know or care because they all. I walked into a place today and I'm like, everybody still got their fucking mask on. I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with you people? Take your face diapers off and breathe fresh air. Breathe unprotected air.
Well, the restaurants, a lot of the restaurants are still closing the dining rooms because they don't have employees to work. They don't have enough employees. People are just not coming back to work.
They're making more money on unemployment.
They're making more money on unemployment, of course.
I mean, you gonna pay me, $10 to work, or you gonna pay me $15 to sit on my ass? I'm gonna take the $15, I guess, an hour to sit on my ass. I just thought it was funny. See, I was like walking in place and I was like, motherfuckers still got their mask on. Just take your mask off, breathe. But you know what? There's gonna be people that still are wearing their face diapers probably for the rest of their life now.
Well, now the way that the mandate works is the masks are only required in what, government buildings,
In hospitals, medical areas, or something.
and what, schools still, right?
In schools, yeah, because
Yeah.
the kids, they're in danger. Like, not really, but they're in danger. Even though they have like a 0.0001% of catching it and dying, but they're in danger.
Well, but it's the children. You got to protect the kids. I mean, come on. Be reasonable.
They're safe. They're safe.
Oh, see, that's how you ultra conservatives are. You just deny reality. That's all there is to it.
Yes, well, I went somewheres the other day.
I bet you're a Trumper, aren't you?
Well, you can probably see stuff in the clubhouse here and tell that. So I do have some stuff. But there's I had to go to a medical facility the other day since I turned 50. The doctor had me go get some sonogram thing on my heart and some other test for plaque. Of course, I put my gator thing on, which is not stopping anything because I can pull it up over my eyes and see through it and walk around. So I'm sure it's pretty not serving any purpose on anything else. But I had it on, and I walk in, and nothing against her. I mean, it's her job. Little security guard there. She's like, "Have you experienced any COVID symptoms within the last 24 hours?" Well, to me, I mean, if I did, I mean, I was at a fucking medical facility. Ain't that where you go if you experience it? But I said, no. Have you been around anyone? I'm thinking to myself, well, as many people I've been around, it's probably a good fucking chance. But I said, no. Have you had your vaccination? No. Now I'm going to wait about a year or two and make sure everybody else's eyes don't turn red and start growing scales before I go get it. I don't want to be a lab rat. So I'm going to wait a little bit. And, hey, if it works out good, I mean, because, I get the flu vaccine and all that other stuff. I'm still healthy right now. I'm going to bide my time and wait. And if all the people that got it don't start dropping dead mysteriously, I might go get it. I'm going to wait a little bit. I want to see what it does to other people. But, they lifted the mask mandate and people are still wearing their masks. Of course, I do know some businesses can still require you to wear a mask inside of their businesses. The Iceman will not partake in that business. I will turn around and spend my money somewhere else.
But let me reassure you. I did get the vaccination. I got the Pfizer vaccine when it was made available to us because I think it's very important that we're responsible and set a good example. So I did. And, with the exception of the twitch and the inability to have an erection,
You're fine, right?
I've been doing great. The erectile dysfunction was probably not caused directly from the vaccine.
If anybody just jumped in here, we're just fucking joking. I don't know if he has erectile dysfunction. If he does, I doubt it's from the vaccine, but it might be. I don't know. But
the twitch is definitely from the vaccine.
We are not medical doctors. I'm not a medical professional at all.
This podcast is not intended to give serious medical advice.
Yes. Do not,
do not try this at home. We are not trained professionals.
Do not use Gorilla Glue as hair gel. That's all I got to say. I don't know what the hell's wrong with the public now. When you got to put on glue, this is, do not use this on your hair, or just like when you get coffee now, it says caution, hot may burn you. I mean, ain't that kind of obvious? Of course, then they got to put do not eat this on toothpaste also. So,
well, there was a lawsuit. McDonald's got sued over hot coffee.
Yeah, I know, it's fucking ridiculous.
And you got to protect people. I mean, you got to give them necessary warnings and such as that. I mean,
I think people are just getting more stupid.
That's just see, there you go with the ultra conservatism again.
They're just getting more stupid.
Well, you call it that, but I mean, I was watching some video from a conference where they had various discussions about progressivism and new schools of thought and forward thinking, especially when it comes to government and such. And for the first 15, 20 minutes, there were points of order where people points of order. Would you please not use gender associated pronouns? And I think it's very important that we don't clap when we don't applaud when there's a point made that we agree with. Just wave our hands back and forth, because the applause could cause some discomfort to some of those sitting in the audience. And then there was those who stood up and said, well, but just don't wave your hands too much, because you're going to create a distraction, or you could hit one another accidentally. And for 25 minutes, it was just all this kind of point of order discussions about the way they should conduct themselves in a seminar environment. And I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking, this is the future. Congratulations.
Yeah, I don't know what happens. The pacification of America. So, it's ridiculous. I know you got some more funny stories. You told me one time. I wish I could remember. It was hilarious. So you went on some call, and you told the guy something, and I know the guy, I think, called the sheriff or something on you. God, I wish I could remember the details.
I don't work for. I don't. See. No, you've gotten too specific.
I've gotten called.
This was in a previous life when I did work for a sheriff. Now I work for.
Joe Budden.
No. Now I work for the Men in Black. You're gonna point. No, you're talking about the gentleman that I referred to as a gender disoriented crotch goblin.
Yes,
yeah.
The crotch goblin.
Oh my God! I knew you were gonna bring that one up.
It's so funny.
Well, this particular fellow was complaining that his sister threatened him with a pair of scissors because he would not share the Suboxone that he had with her, even though neither one of them were prescribed Suboxone. Okay? He was reminiscent of two other calls that I've taken, one where a drug dealer was complaining that he got beaten and his drugs got taken on a deal. And then prior to that, the guy who was angry and wanted me to arrest the prostitute who didn't bring him change. But this guy calls us there and he says, my sister threatened to stab me with the scissors because I wouldn't share my Suboxone with her. And I'm like, okay, so you're prescribed Suboxone? And he's like, no. I said, okay, so you're not prescribed Suboxone? He said, well, no, I just got some. I said, you just got some?
The Suboxone fairy brought him. He found it under his pillow like the tooth fairy.
Well, understand that Suboxone is an opioid that is intended to wean you off of an opiate addiction. It's kind of like methadone. It's the new methadone. And a lot of these guys will take the Suboxone because, I guess, I don't know.
It still makes you high.
It still helps them out with the Jonesin and all of that. So they're fighting over the Suboxone, and she takes scissors after him. And he's admitting to me that he has purchased and procured a controlled substance for personal use without, authorization or script or whatever. And, of course, the scissors that he produces are basically round-nosed kindergarten shears. And those are the scissors that his sister took after him with. And it just was ridiculous because he was being such a drama queen about the whole deal. And I finally just looked at him and I said, look, I'm going to do you and I both a favor, okay? I'm going to leave. and I'm not going to take your complaint about your sister arguing with you about your drugs. And he got quite irate, and he began to talk to me about how he was terribly displeased by the fact that I was not going to do my job, and that he said some things that were rather offensive. And I finally just got tired of listening to it, because he was trying to keep me from going to my car and trying to keep me from leaving, and he had, at least 10 or 12 other complaints. And I finally just turned around, and I'd had enough. And I said, listen here, you gender disoriented crotch goblin. If you block my way to my car and you don't let me leave, I'm going to arrest you. I'm going to arrest you for admitting to me in spontaneous nature. I did not ask you about what this complaint was. I'm just going to arrest you for confessing to me that you are not only procuring, but utilizing controlled substances without a prescription. So you might want to just let me leave. I'm not doing a report for you. I'm sorry that your sister offended you by threatening to stab you with round-nosed kindergartens.
With blunt sticks, with
Scissors. I'm sorry that you were circumcised with a weed eater as a child, and this has got you hating the world. Whatever. But I'm out of here, and don't call me back. Unless, of course, you really need something like, I don't know, CPR. Okay? The drug dealer who wanted to file charges for robbery because he delivered to a motel room and the guys in the motel room whipped his ass and took his dope, also got arrested.
He actually called because
that was his complaint. Was that they
didn't pay for a dope.
Well, but here's the thing. He delivered the meth. They used it. They called him back, and first off, they didn't pay him for it because they said it was fake meth. Man, this ain't real. This ain't real. So he didn't get paid for the first delivery. And he left. And they called him back and said, bring us some real meth, not that fake shit you gave us the first time that he didn't get paid for, and he got threatened to have his ass whipped over. He comes back with more meth. And this time he brings some mojo with him and a few other things, I guess, bonus clearance sale or whatever going on. And this time they whip his ass. And they take his meth, and they take his mojo, and they take his other dough. And he immediately calls the police to come arrest the people who whipped his ass and didn't pay for the dope he delivered them.
For theft.
There were 3 arrests made. He was the first one. I handed him the voluntary statement form, and I said, go ahead and write down what you're telling me, but make sure you read and let me give you the Miranda warning before you write the first word. And he's, man, this is what I'm telling you. This is what happened. Are you not going to help me? I said, I'm going to help you.
But you got to write it down first.
I'm going to help you, but I want this in your handwriting. Okay. I said, you do realize that the first thing that's going to happen is when you write this down is I'm going to arrest you. You understand that, right? I don't care, man. I mean, this is ridiculous, man. These dudes. And so he wrote the statement. He told me exactly what he had said in handwriting when he wrote the statement. I said, okay, thank you for that. Sign it right there at the bottom. Turn around, put your hands behind your back. And then he got this confused look on his face. You're actually going to arrest me? I said, didn't I just tell you I was going to do that? Well, yeah, but you're not going to go look for them? I said, yeah, I'm absolutely going to go look for them just as soon as I book you in for distribution. But they robbed me. I said, yeah.
For your illegal stuff.
Okay, but you didn't just go there once and get snapped off for the first cellophane snowball you brought them. You came back. You gotta find a different way of life, dude. You're just not hard enough for the street. I'm saving your life by locking you up.
It's like, hey, call our drug dealer back and tell him to not bring fake drugs this time, even though they were real. But then we're going to kick his ass and
Then we're
take the
gonna
rest
kick
of
his
it.
ass, and we're not going to pay for his. Yeah, exactly. Well, the first arrest that we made because he did get robbed. Absolutely, he did. It was definitely a strong arm robbery. Not once, but twice. The second time they did whip his ass. They did. The first guy we arrested kind of on the spot. He was the first arrest that was made. The second guy we actually arrested because he had smoked the mojo. And we found him dancing in the middle of the highway with no clothes on. So, FBI calls it a clue. If the guy stole drugs.
Blunt ain't real, but the smoke is.
That's right.
Take your ass to real jail, then.
That's right. And, I love how people can be honest. And in their honesty, I really appreciate honest people. Like the guy who came in off the tugboat. We have a lot of people who work on the boats on the river and stuff such as that. We had the guy that came in off the tugboat. He had been working hard. He had got his pay. And he decided that he wanted sex. That's right. That's right. He had been out on the water on the boat, nothing to look at but his fellow crewmen, fellow seamen, as it were. And he comes back and he lives in a small community that's socioeconomically disadvantaged. And he calls up an old girl that he knows will give him what he needs and how, and doesn't charge a whole lot for it. She comes over and they cut the deal, the usual, for $20. She performs her act of her task, and he then realizes that he did cash his paycheck, but he didn't get any small bills. So he decides he's going to help old girl out. He hands her a $100 bill. He only owes her $20. He says, "That's all right, sugar. Just go to the store down there and buy me and you both a pack of cigarettes and bring me the change. And keep your $20.
Good luck.
Now let me
with that.
ask you what you think happened next.
She bought two packs of cigarettes, and some soft drinks and some chips, and came back and didn't have the right change. I'm being sarcastic. That bitch took the fuck off. She says, "Fuck that! I just got me a $80 tip. I gave him a $20 blowjob, a $20 piece of ass, and I."
Bye, Felicia.
Yeah.
Felicia hauled ass with the $100 bill. Okay, look, I'm not Sister Mary Christian with the crystal ball, okay? I don't do tea leaves. I don't read the tarot cards. If you want your palm read by me, you better bring the paint, okay? She doesn't come back. What does he do?
I assume he called y'all because
He calls the police.
The hooker robbed
He
me.
calls the police. And who in the hell gets this call? The number one most revered shit magnet who ever graced the back of a badge. I go to this complaint call, and it is a theft complaint, and I pull up, and I get out, and I'm looking at this guy, and he's had a few too many. I give him that. Poor baby, poor soul. And he tells me this story. He's like, "Yeah, she took off with my $100 bill, and I only owed her $20 for the blowjob." And I went, wait, what? He said, "Yeah, we cut a deal like we normally do. She was going to give me a blowjob for $20, and she took off with a $100 bill." I said, "Well, she didn't make change for you? I mean, does she carry a cash register around on her back or something, you know?" He's like, "No, I sent her to the store to get her cigarettes and break that 100 so she could, get her 20. I said, "And you really thought she was going to come back?" He said, "Well, hell yeah. I mean, it's the principle of the thing."
No, she blew him and fucked him. She just fucked him out of the extra money.
I said, hold on a second. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is the Twilight Zone. Where's Rod Sterling at when you need him? I looked at this guy and I was like, wait a minute. Let me wrap my head around it. Oh, that's a bad term to use. Hold on a second. Let me understand what you're telling me. You're telling me that, yeah, okay. Well, look, Mr. So-and-so, Captain, you really don't want me to take this complaint, okay? You really don't want me to do this. How about you just call it a day? You know better next time.
Have smaller bills.
Yeah, come on now. Let's just write it. Cut your losses, okay? Cut your losses. Don't push this bad issue. And he's like, I want her ass in jail. I said, you do realize that in order for her ass to go to jail, your ass goes first, right? I don't care. Excuse me?
Over $80.
I don't care, he says. I want her ass in jail. It's the principle of the thing. I'm like, okay, all right. I want you to think about this. I'm going to go back to my car, and I'm going to get a statement for him, and I'm going to ask you to put this in writing. And before I ask you to put this in writing, I'm going to ask you not to put this in writing, because exactly what's going to happen is you're going to finish this statement, you're going to sign it, and I'm going to put handcuffs on you. Because you're confessing to engaging in prostitution. I don't care. My ass can go to jail. I want my ass to go to jail, but her ass going to jail too. You just hold that thought. Get my clipboard, bring it back, sit down with this guy. He writes the statement. Oh my God, does he write it? He even admitted to completion in the statement. I'm like, oh my word. I really didn't need him to be this graphic. Anyway.
Did she swallow?
Didn't get that specific, thank God.
Just checking. Just spit her or not.
So I told him, I said, okay. I said, well, if you're going to push this issue, I mean, I really asked you not to pursue this complaint, and I told you what was going to happen. You didn't listen to me. You think it's the principle of the thing, so I'm sorry to inform you that you're being arrested for prostitution, engaging in prostitution. And I explained to him how's the law read and all that kind of thing. I said, I really can't help you at this point other than just to tell you that you're going with me. I sat him in the back of the car, and I'm headed to the jail with him, and he goes, she lives in that trailer right up there. I said, excuse me? Yeah, that's where she stays. She stays in that trailer right there. We're going to actually pass right by her trailer. I said, well, would you like me to stop and knock? Well, hell yeah, she's going to bring her to jail, ain't you? She's not going to answer the door. Well, I don't care. Kick it in and go get her. Unfortunately, there's this little known, even less cared for document called the Constitution that says I can't do that. But if you really want me to stop, I have no problem stopping here just for a minute, knocking on the door, just to prove the futility of what you're asking me to do. Well, hell yeah. I can tell you what she looks like, too. I said, especially the top of her head, right? Pulled up in the driveway, knocked on the door. Sheriff's office. Oh, God, I said sheriff's office. Men in black. Men in black. Crickets. Chirp, chirp. And I happily bounded back down the stairs and got back in the car with my John arrest and carried him to jail and booked him in. And he sat there indignant the entire time on the bench. He was saying, that's all right. Go back and get her. You going to handle that, right? You going to go get her, right? I said, absolutely, I am. Absolutely. That went to court. The judge sitting on the bench told the guy, You don't want to admit this, do you? He said, well, it's the truth. Absolutely. I mean, you got to tell the truth, don't you? The judge is like, yeah, you got to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. There is that little thing you got to swear to, yeah. But you do realize that you're going to be, like, convicted based on your statement, and I don't care. It's what happened. He wasn't drunk in court. He was sober.
Well, he was just an honest individual
We need more people like him.
that wanted his $80 fucking back.
They're generous. They tip good. Well, monetarily. And they believe in principles. They believe in principles. That's all there is to it.
Well, I've heard some. I never had it happen to, but I heard that they've had hookers called, or prostitutes, sluts, whores, whatever you want to call them, called because
That's crass.
they got
these are sex workers.
I'm sorry, the sex worker.
Sex workers. That's right.
Like called because they're fucking John shorted her like $5 or some shit like that.
Well, yeah. We've had similar.
I tell you what
problems.
though, if prostitutes charged by the inch, I mean that shit would be cheap as a motherfucker for me.
I'd
I'd be like on a discount plan.
Oh, what are you talking about? It'd be a clearance sale at my house. I'd be on the clearance rack. Absolutely.
You get the Happy Meal.
And ever since the vaccine, the erectile dysfunction, I don't have to worry about it anyway.
Just kind of lays there like a dead rabbit. Jesus Christ.
Dead rabbit, a dead latex rabbit.
Yeah, dead latex
on a rubber
rabbit.
penis.
I don't understand why every time you deal with like bad women or whatever, or junkies, whatever, they always have fucking dildos and shit in their car. You ever notice that? They always have sex toys in their car. It's like, where are they going with these sex toys?
Are you jealous?
No, I just want to know why do
women have sex toys?
No, why do the junkies feel the need
to
transport their sex toys with them everywhere?
If women could teach the vibrator to wash the car and cut the grass, they wouldn't need us. The hell are you talking about?
Except for them $80 tips.
Well, and of course, you're not as good after the Pfizer vaccine as.
Well, we're about at that time. I totally enjoyed myself on both episodes. I had fun. If you'd ever like to come back, let me know. It's been fun. He's got a ton of shit more stories, and like I said, I totally enjoyed it. So I appreciate everybody listening. Email me, MotorCopChronicles@gmail.com. Hit me up on Facebook, MotorCop Chronicles Podcast. I am on Twitter at MotorC. Don't use it a whole lot. Go subscribe on YouTube. Do live shows on Wednesdays. Me and Doc Holliday. And check us out on Rumble also. I post a video. I don't go live there, but I do post videos on there also. And glad y'all here listening. I appreciate everybody. And till next week.
We think a lot of you.
Yes, think of me.
We think a lot of you.
If you listen on Apple or something like that, go hit 5 stars, write me a review. Helps with the algorithm. Trying to help us get bigger, get out to more audience.
Algorithm. That's $5. That's a $5.
Yeah, I mean, I have a few, not many. And everybody stay safe, watch your back, and remember, always smile, because the Iceman could always be behind you.
I'm cranking up on the throttle. This is how legends are made.